Hello, everybody. Tom Stimulis with True North Group, and today's as also the Small Business Development Center's cybersecurity advisor. So thank you for joining our Facebook Live. And today we're going to talk about a fairly simple topic. It's going to be about privileged and unprivileged access. And in the world of computers, you will have the user. And that would be your unprivileged access, where that individual is provided rights and permissions to do their job, to access the files and the data that they need to perform a certain job requirement. And you can have multiple different levels of users. You could have HR, you could have finance, you could have IT, specific departments, but they're all user level roles. Then you have privileged access, and privileged access is traditionally, you would think like an administrator, a domain administrator, a local administrator, a network administrator. And there are varying degrees of administrators. And those individuals, of course, have jobs that require them more access to install patches, to make changes to the configuration of a device, to reroute traffic, to perform maintenance on the back end of a database that the users are accessing. And those are also tied to an individual's specific roles. Now, where the challenge comes in is that you have these individuals that have privileged access. If their right or their username and password is actually captured in some manner or stolen, the individual that steals that password has been granted unlimited rights to or unlimited access to a business's network or their devices. So, and I guess the way you want to look at this is if you take a building manager. Now, they're in a building manager, let's just say we have 10 tenants, and each of those tenants have office space. Now, those tenants, when they sign a lease, are issued a key, and that key gives them permission to access their leased space, that office. Now, of course, when you're in a building, there's multiple keys related to each of those offices. So that building manager would also have a key or a lockbox that would have all of those keys in there for, tenant number 1 through tenant number 10. And as the building manager, they would need to get access into that facility or into that office. So they would take a key, or they would then go in, and that key would allow them to get into the office to do that. But a lot of buildings have what we call a master key. Now, that master key will give that building manager the ability to get into every single office with one key. Now, if you think about it, that master key should not be on the building manager's keychain, because if by chance the building manager lost those keys and someone found those keys and knew it was to a certain building, they would now have access to every single office in that building. And that's where that would be a privileged access key. So we have to protect these privileged access roles, and we just have to protect them. We have to protect them in a manner where when you have administrators, so if you're a business owner or you're a business manager and you have your administrators, I would recommend that you issue 2 user accounts for these individuals. You have a regular user account that individual or that administrator would use to do their day-to-day functions, check their email, write their reports, build their PowerPoints, just to do day-to-day activities. They would use that user name and password. And then you would issue them a second username and password, which would give them those administrative or privileged rights. So therefore, when they needed to go do a patch or make a configuration change, they would log out of the regular user and they would log in with the privileged access account, and which would allow them to do what they need to do. And then they would log out and log back in. Now, see, just saying that right there, people are like, oh, that's inconvenient, right? And yes, it is inconvenient, but with great privilege comes great responsibility. And so these individuals have increased privileges, we rely on them to do things. Well, unfortunately, great responsibility comes with protecting that data. So if by chance those username and password was compromised, whether it was through themselves or they use that password with another account, or however it was captured, that would cause potential or increased harm to your organization and to your network. Also, if you're in a regulated industry of any type, healthcare, retail, energy, whatever, finances, every single regulatory agency will require, and also the new CMMC rules with the DFARS for federal contractors, is it doesn't matter whether you have 3, 30, or 300 people in your organization, you have to have segregation of duties, and you have to be able to manage these privileged accounts and prove that these administrators are not using their privileged accounts every day, that they're, or I'm sorry, all the time, for every action, that they're using their user account for their day-to-day activities. They're using their privileged accounts for only necessary when they need to make changes to an organization. So I'm more than happy to talk more about this. As always, if you'd like to set up a meeting with myself or any of our other experts, the link is in the notes section. You can connect with the Small Business Development Center. We have 27 around the state, so you can get with the one that's closest to you. And then, once you get with them, if you want to set up an appointment, we can definitely set up an appointment, talk about more about access control. If there's some ways that we can find a way to manage it more effectively, I'm happy to do that. And then also 2 weeks from tomorrow, we'll be having our second our digital spring cleaning. We did one a week ago, and we talked about how we can declutter our digital lives, how to get rid of our accounts, excess email that we're getting, how to clean up our files on our computers and stuff like that, because a lot of that is regulated information. If we can consolidate that information into a known area, then we can just protect that information a little bit more effectively. So everybody, please enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you next Tuesday. And as always, I hope you'll join us at our next webinar on Wednesday, May 6th. Have a great day, everybody.